Hey guys, what is up? This is Mr. A. Chrissy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be doing a movie review on this really old movie released in the year 2002. Well, technically this movie first came out in 2002. Initially it was scheduled to come out in 2002, but then the wide release occurred in the following year of 2003. But I'm just going to refer to this as a 2002 release since that was pretty much the year the movie was finished. So, yeah. But yeah, and I actually watched this movie like back in the summer of this year. And so, yeah, earlier this year pretty much. Yeah, during the summer. And so, this review is going to be on Phone Booth. Yep, this is the movie I'm reviewing right here. Phone Booth. Phone Booth is directed by excuse me. Phone Booth is directed by Joel Schumacher, the late Joel Schumacher, and stars Colin Farrell, Forest Whitaker, and Kiefer Sutherland. Yep. So the story of Phone Booth goes like this. I'm going to read on the back of the DVD here. A single phone call can change a man's life, or possibly end it. Colin Farrell delivers an off-the-hook performance as Stu Shepard, a self-centered New York City publicist who suddenly finds himself on the deadly end of a high-powered rifle's scope. Now it's a real-time race against the clock as Stu must outwit a psychotic sniper in a frantic scramble from phone booth to freedom. And yeah, pretty much, the whole movie takes place at a phone booth, of course, and Stu Shepard is stuck on this phone call by some strange guy who's played by Kiefer Sutherland. And of course, the caller has been doing some crazy things, including when Stu gets framed of like murder and all that. Yeah, it's a very intense thriller movie, and yeah. So I gotta say, Phone Booth is actually a great movie in my opinion. I think it's actually one of the most underrated thrillers I've ever seen. And yeah, and there is a good reason why this movie's very short, because this movie's not even that long. It's only like 81 minutes. So it's a very short movie, and there is a good reason why this movie's only 81 minutes and why it's so short. Mainly because there's little to tell for the story in some ways. While at the same time the movie takes place in one single location, which is a phone booth, of course, which is also why this movie's called Phone Booth. And yeah, and I gotta say, the story itself is kind of interesting, and even the pacing itself. And I think when it comes to the pacing, I think the pacing was actually handled pretty well. And there was never times when this movie felt slow. Probably because there are some times where I like short run times, like 81 minutes, but that's not really saying much since I've seen a bunch of other longer films than this, but yeah. I gotta say, the performances were also really good, too. I think Colin Farrell does a good job in this film as Stu Shepard. And yeah, Colin Farrell was good in the film. Kiefer Sutherland was also really good in the film as the caller, who's like the guy who's been calling Stu like throughout most of the movie. And oh yeah, and the music score was actually composed by Harry Gregson Williams. Yeah, Harry Gregson Williams has done music for a lot of movies, including the animated ones like Shrek. And I gotta say, when it comes to this movie that's directed by Joel Schumacher, I've seen some other films from Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher also directed Dying Young with Julia Roberts. And of course, Joel Schumacher. I also really liked it. I also really enjoyed Falling Down with Michael Douglas as the villain. Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta say, this movie was actually it's like I said, it's one of the most underrated thrillers I've ever seen, and hardly anyone talks about this movie, because maybe it's because there might be some people out there who have not seen Phone Booth, even if this movie interests them. Yeah, and the movie's rated R for language and some violence. Yeah, because there is some violence in this movie, like how the caller like kills like Leon, Leon's actually like one of the people that's been bothering like Stu, because they're waiting impatiently to use the phone. And Yeah. And yeah, this movie's actually a very intense movie in some ways, and it can get pretty enjoyable too, and that's what makes this movie great, and also an underrated film released in 2002. I mean, it's like I said, this movie was initially released in 2002 when it first premiered, and it was scheduled to come out in 2002, but then 20th Century Fox Studios decided to delay the film to 2003. I think it was because some sort of riot that went on, like in 2002, like which caused 20th Century Fox Studios to delay this film to 2003. But like I said, I'm still counting this movie as a 2002 movie because I've seen some online sources that this movie is a 2002 movie. Yeah, yeah. Forest Whitaker was also pretty good in the film as well. I almost forgot to mention that. There's also Katie Holmes. Yeah, I gotta say that this was a great movie. Yeah. So overall, Phone Booth was a great underrated thriller, and I'm gonna give Phone Booth 4 stars out of 5. And if you haven't seen this movie yet, then I recommend it. And if you're bored one day, then I could say the same thing. I recommend this movie. And there you have it, guys. That's my movie review on Phone Booth. And that's going to be it for this video, so make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And as always, thanks for watching, and until next time, this is Mr. A. Crizzy saying, goodbye everybody, and that's about it.